I am deeply honoured to be invited to speak to assembled Republicans here in Bodenstown, the place which Pádraig Pearse termed the most sacred spot in Ireland. This Kildare earth holds the remains of Theobald Wolfe Tone, known as the father of Irish republicanism. 225 years after the death of this Irish patriot, the Irish Republic still has to be achieved. A nation of 32 counties, 6 still live under British tyranny, and the remaining 26 are ruled and subjugated by an illusion that they are a free and independent state. As the decade of remembrance draws to a close and the proletariat are dazzled by the carefully selected remembrances, Tone's words are even more relevant today. When the people come forward, the aristocracy, fearful of being left behind, insinuate themselves into our ranks and rise into timid leaders or treacherous auxiliaries. They mean to make us their instruments. Let us rather make them our instruments. These cautionary words are very relevant today when the scandal of RTE abuse of public funding is dominating digital, electronic and printed media. Recent disclosures of undisclosed payments, barter and slush funds, radio and television presenters being given new SUVs worth in excess of 70,000 are headlining most output. These excesses are confined to a select few in the organisation and are a complete insult to the hard-working journalists and the backroom staff that keep that service flowing, and often on low wages and zero contracts. Whilst this story makes headlines, another more important story has been overlooked and relegated, if referred to at all, to small print. This story is the government's and other political parties attempting to end our historical stance on national neutrality. Some time ago, Micheál Martin and his political sidekicks promised a citizens' assembly to discuss the issue that many Irish citizens hold close to their hearts. For many generations, Ireland has seen her sons and daughters die in foreign fields defending British and more recently American imperialism. Indeed, in 1790, Tone himself warned the then Irish Parliament against assisting the British monarch who had declared war on Spain. Tone pointed out that Ireland had no quarrel with Spain or the Spanish people, and that the independent Irish Parliament had no right to pledge Irish lives and Irish wealth, 300,000, to the cause of British imperialism. While the nation is shocked by the shenanigans going on in RTE, the Forum of Neutrality is quietly beavering away. Martin had, when questioned, insisted that the membership of the Forum would be inclusive and panellists with a variety of expertise and experience, which included peacekeeping, arms control, disarmament and conflict resolution. On paper, quite a formidable gathering. However, the reality belies this protestation. One session's chair was none other than the Dane commander of the Order of the British Empire, Louise Richardson, a County Waterford-born scientist, who was awarded this British decoration by the late Elizabeth Windsor. Another contributor to the debate was Renata Dwan, Deputy Director of Chatham House, also known as the Royal Institute of International Affairs, whose president is Eliza Manningham-Buller, formerly Director General of British Intelligence MI5. Also summoned to add to the debate was Bridget Laffan, who has regularly demanded an end to the sacred cow of Irish neutrality. This ignominious list continues in the same theme. So slanted was the selection of the experts that even Michael Higgins broke presidential protocol to caution the nation. However, he was quickly silenced by the forces of media and politicians who have a very deliberate agenda towards the dismemberment of Irish neutrality. Those who support neutrality have been largely excluded from Michael Martin's forum. Regardless of your own personal views, he also ignored the main churches, and he has disregarded the Northern peace process. He has excluded all those with experience in creating it. Martin would not include anybody who would or could see through this ploy. A little noted fact is that Ireland has been involved in 23 of the 68 military projects organised by PESCO, the armed wing of the EU, and soon to be a European army. Over 20 years ago, Irish people rejected the EU's Nice referendum because it threatened our neutrality. And our government then, led by Bertie Ahern, called a second referendum. Now Martin seeks to abolish the second referendum's decision, which would mean that the Irish government would take its military direction from Brussels and not the United Nations, a decision that will lead our nation into other nations' wars. Returning to the life of Wolfe Tone. When critiquing his works, Constance Markievicz wrote, "None can fail to see that he gave his life for the freedom of Ireland, not only from foreign political and military control, but from the more subtle and cruel oppression and enslavement that resulted from the establishment of the English social system and English economic system." Markievicz finished her paper with these words. "Link up the oppressed peoples and classes of the world," was his cry. And it is well if those who gather to honour him and his death could understand this and ponder well on the policy of Ireland's greatest thinker, fighter and martyr. A cry that should resound today. We stand here today in the most sacred of all Irish spots, while 12,444 Irish citizens are homeless and many more can't afford the necessities of life. Let Tone and his followers inform the Irish left, who now needed to rebuild and strengthen on the foundations of United Irishmen, who served neither king or quislings, but Ireland and her people.